Welcome. I'm Loren Keim with Real Estate's Next Level Education. Whether you're new to watching our series or you've been following us for years, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This week's program is about really growing your business by putting together a solid follow-up campaign.
I like to start by explaining that there are three major types of follow-up. There's the follow-up that we use to convert leads that come to us. And some of those are direct follow-up plans like calling them on a regular basis, sending them emails, maybe text messages. And there's remarketing plans, which is where we use technology to find that client and keep in touch with them for us, even if we don't know they exist just yet. Second type of follow-up is providing service to our current customers, and that is staying in touch with our current customers, creating a systematic way of staying in touch with our customers to provide exceptional service so they refer us people in the future. And then the third method is creating follow-up systems to deliver after-sales service and build that long-term relationship with a customer. So I want to start out with explaining that follow-up strategy with new leads is really just lead conversion. If you're not willing to work to convert leads, why would you generate them in the first place? We focus on the expensive attraction techniques for leads, and we ignore the funnel that we need to create to close more of them. How many leads do you talk to that call in right now or email you right now from the internet and actually buy a house from you in 90 days? 2%, 3%, 4%? What is a lead really? Is it somebody who contacts you over the internet? Is it somebody who pays per click? Is it somebody who contacts you over social media? Or that $2,000 a month you're spending with Zillow to try and bring leads to you? How many of those are you closing? And personal referrals. We have to find a way to plug each of these leads, each of these people who identify themselves as possible clients, into a systematic way of staying in touch with them and hopefully bringing them to conversion so that they'll work with us and grow that relationship with them. So again, follow-up strategy is lead conversion. And I hear this all the time. But Loren, all those internet leads are no good. They don't really want to buy. They're just shoppers. They're not doing anything. Well, how many contacts does it take to reach most prospects? See, many people are starting their conversation with realtors early. They're starting their educational process early. They're looking 6 to 24 months before they buy. They're starting to dream about buying houses, and they can actually look now and ask for information now, whereas years ago they would pick up a Homes magazine and do their shopping in the Homes magazine, just not call us if they weren't really looking. But these people are looking. They're just looking sometimes at longer periods out. So are the leads no good? Well, how often do you follow up? You can't leave one message and maybe an email and not get a call back. Is it really a dead lead? No, it's just that they were on the internet. They got calls from 6 agents the same day, and they didn't call any of them back because they didn't know exactly what to do. How often have you had this situation where you get a referral from a friend and you never get hold of that lead? How many times do most agents call that lead? Do they email once and leave a message once? Well, no wonder it's not working. You're done. But it's not that they aren't interested. It's that they had calls from 5 or 6 agents. And typically the agent that wins is either the first agent to have a conversation with them, and I mean an actual conversation with them, or the one who continues to leave messages and calls. Typically, those internet leads take 6 to 24 months to cultivate. But if you do cultivate them, you're going to build that relationship and you're going to end up closing more of those leads. Now, you've probably seen this chart before. This is maybe a little bit different layout of it. But 48% of salespeople call only once or not at all. I've got to tell you something. We've been tracking leads by putting leads out to realtors to see the reaction. And I'm finding in some cases we have 40 or 50% that never get a response at all. But 48% of salespeople only call once or don't call at all. 25% make a second attempt. So that's almost 3/4 of agents. 12% make a third attempt, and only 10% of agents, 1 out of 10, get beyond 3 contracts. So why is it that 15% of the realtors in the world sell 85% of the real estate? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Only 2% of sales are made on that first contact. You don't get a meeting most of the time. 3% are made in the second contact. You talk to them twice, you've got a 1 in 20 shot. 5% between the 2 and the 3. A 1 in 20 shot of actually meeting with them and starting a relationship that grows into buying something. 5% of sales are made on the third contact, 10% on the fourth contact, and 80% of sales are made on the 5th through the 12th contact. So we've got to try them that 5, 6, 7 times in order to get to that level. So we want to build a follow-up system to cultivate or incubate those leads, because we want those leads to turn into prospects, to turn into customers. And on the right-hand side of the screen, what you're looking at is a lead is simply an opportunity, somebody who may be looking to buy or sell a property. We want to start building, cultivating that relationship. And we want to use persistence to stay in front of them. Because if we're in front of them long enough, we're going to be there at the right time and we're going to ultimately get the sale. Now, different types of leads may require different follow-up systems depending on their motivation and what they're looking for. So this is my lead process. You attract a lead, you convert the lead, you close the lead, and then you service them forever. We have strangers that we try and attract with online ads. We attract them with keywords. We attract them with blog posts or social media. They look at our website, they look at our landing pages, they look at our forums online, and we try and capture that lead through lead capture systems. So maybe that's a form, maybe that's giving something free away, maybe it's some sort of call to action. But we convert them to identify themselves, raise their hand in the market, and say, I'm interested in buying or selling a property. And that visitor becomes a lead. So we try and follow up with them. We put them into our contact relationship management software. We email them, we call them, we might use autoresponders. We might use something called remarketing or retargeting that we'll talk about later on today. And we build that relationship so they become customers of ours, and we close that sale, and then we take care of them forever by delivering exceptional service, by maintaining ongoing contact, by giving them valued content, and then we also do something called event marketing, and we hopefully build advocates of our personal real estate business. So what is a follow-up system? Let's go through a couple of steps. First, of course, we've got to generate a potential lead or a potential client. And by the way, tomorrow I'm going to be doing workshops on identifying target audiences and how to generate leads, how to create leads out of thin air. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. But once you've generated that potential client or lead, you have to identify the type of lead. Is it a seller, a buyer, an investor? And the motivation. Are they hot, warm, moderate, or not? And I'll go through that in a second. And then you have to contact them immediately. This is kind of interesting. I've seen this in a couple of studies now, but if you contact them within 5 minutes, the difference between calling a prospect within 5 minutes and 10 minutes resulted in a 400% decrease in the customer working with you. Let me put it this way. They are online right now. They fill out an online form. They're asking about a particular property. They submit that form. Lead router sends it directly to your phone. You pick up the phone, you immediately call them, and if you do that, they may still be on that property online. If they're not still on that property, they're probably on another property online, and you can talk to them about what they're doing right now to search for a house, and you're far more likely to get that conversation started and keep them from contacting those other 5, 6, or 7 people. Again, number 4, if you get them on the phone, you have a conversation, you can determine their needs and motivations and start following up. Now, if you don't get the lead on the phone after the initial email or request, you still plug them into a follow-up system, but you have to have a follow-up system to plug them into. Now, the types of leads we said were sellers and buyers or maybe investors. The motivation, hot, warm, moderate, or not. Hot is somebody who's ready to meet right now. They want to get started, they want to find something, they want to sell something. A warm lead is somebody who's planning to act within the next 90 days. Now, with any lead, we want to nurture them over time. But a warm lead who's going to be making a decision soon, we've got to be actively or proactively talking to those people, making phone calls to them on a regular basis, maybe twice a week, sending them listings every day, keeping in touch with them. Moderate leads might be planning to act within the next 6 months. Again, you're going to put them into a system where you nurture that lead, but you might not be calling them twice a week. You might be calling them every 10 days or every 15 days. And then those people are not real serious. They may just be looking for entertainment value, or they may be looking 2 years down the road. We archive them. We put them into our contact relationship management software, and we start dripping on them. And dripping means following up with marketing pieces on a regular basis and stay in touch with them, but have them in a system where the system is maintaining contact so you can actually be actively working with buyers and sellers. As I said, if you get them on the phone, have a conversation. And when you have a conversation, you want to either schedule an appointment or you want to determine their needs and their motivation. You want to find out where in the process they are so we can determine if they're a hot buyer or if they're not. We want to customize an automated search for them. Don't wait for them to ask. What are you looking for? We'll send you listings right now. We're going to put you under our Zap software. We're going to start sending you listings immediately. And then we're going to start a drip campaign specifically to their needs and motivation, including personal telephone follow-up, because there's nothing more powerful for a lead that is planning on buying something in the next 3 or 4 months than to maintain that actual contact, to call them. Because quite frankly, if you just put them on an automated search, there are 3 other realtors who are going to do the same thing. And that doesn't mean you're going to pick them up as a buyer. You've limited your chances. You've got to be the one that maintains contact. If you don't get the lead on the phone after the initial email or request, start a follow-up campaign, start sending emails and so forth. You might send text messages. We've had better response with some of our students with text messages than just emails, and make phone calls. Now, here's a suggestion. First phone call, I would leave a message. Second phone call, I would call from a different phone, and I would not leave a message. If they don't pick up, you don't want them to know that it's the real estate agent calling a second time, because they're a little scared of you at this point. So you call them 2 or 3 more times from a different phone number, and hopefully one of those times they're going to answer so you can start building that conversation, that relationship. And let me put it another way. If you are concerned that you're bothering that client, because that's one of the big issues I get. I don't want to be bothering them. I don't want to be bugging them. I want to let them work at their pace. Okay. But there's another realtor who's not as nice as you are, who doesn't care as much about clients as you do, that is going to be following up and is going to pick them up as a client, and you don't want them stuck with Bad Breath Realty, do you? Because you deliver the finest service in the industry, and that other person probably doesn't. So keep them away from somebody bad. Make sure that you are the person following up with them. So what is a follow-up campaign? It's a series of planned contacts, and those contacts can be emails, they can be phone calls, they can be text messages, they can actually be physical mail if you want to, and postcards. They can also be pushing marketing to the prospect subliminally or keeping it in front of them through what we call Google remarketing or Facebook pixels. And by the way, tomorrow we're also going to be doing a workshop on Google remarketing and on tracking clients online. It's kind of an interesting system, and I'll explain that a little bit in a few minutes. But staying in contact with them, staying in front of them any way you can. The first thing you have to do, though, is put every client you get into a contact relationship management system. It's better if you have one set up where the lead funnels into the contact management system right away and there's an automated response so that they start getting something immediately. How many of you are using a CRM right now, a contact relationship management software program? Okay. How many of you have access to the Zap software now? The Zap software is a work in progress. There's a lot of things coming for that have not been installed yet. It's a great piece of software, but it's not quite to the level it needs to be yet as a full CRM. How many of you are using Top Producer? Okay. And how many of you are using Boomtown? There's a lot of different software packages out there. One of the things I like about Boomtown, and I'm hoping Zap gets to this level soon, Zap is a fantastic product, by the way. One of the benefits to it is it's got a more robust search than Zillow does. We need to get people off the Zillow train. Keep in mind, if you're not spending money on Zillow, Zillow right now controls about 44% of real estate leads. It's horrible. That is the biggest, the 800-pound gorilla in the room. It controls the real estate market. But if you have the listing, in the old days, the lead used to come to you. It doesn't anymore. It gets diverted. Zillow sells that lead to the highest bidder. And because of that, a lot of people are paying a lot of money to buy back those leads into their office, their agent, their whatever, their team, and you don't get the benefit of the leads on the listings that you take. One of the nice things about Zap is if a lead comes in, it's going to go to you, and it's going to go right into your contact relationship management software. One of the interesting things about Boomtown, which is another software product, is that's a website as well. And again, Zap is on its way to hopefully pass Boomtown. But the idea is that you have a website set up that's fairly robust with an IDX search. And if a lead comes in, it automatically filters into your contact relationship management software. The contact relationship management software tries to figure out what that buyer is looking for and starts pushing information directly to the buyer. So it creates what we call an autoresponder system that stays in touch with the contact even if you've never made a phone call. So if you have anyone who talks to you about anything, you need to put them into your contact relationship management software. You need to put them into Zap. You need to put them into Top Producer if you're using that, and put them on a plan of contacts over time. The two software programs that we have access to right now for free, and free is good at Central 21, is Zap. Many of the offices have that now. And again, it's a very robust search engine that allows us to create websites that have a full IDX MLS system built in that updates like every 2 minutes, pulls leads in, sends you a message directly to your phone that you've got a new lead, and then sends a follow-up email immediately saying, hey, we've got this great program, this great search system, please check us out and try it. You're going to love it. And then in the background, it tracks what they do as they do it, how many searches they've made on the system, how many houses they've saved, and what they're looking at. And you can go in and add a follow-up plan, like some of the ones on the screen, a buyer lead follow-up plan, a closed client follow-up plan, a newsletter follow-up plan, whatever you want. But I'm going to try and convince you that you need to take these plans and dramatically improve them if you want to have a strong relationship with your client. That's Zap. The other one we have at the moment is 21 Online. There's the Business Builder system. Now that is being replaced shortly with a similar but better leads management program or contact relationship management program. But even in this, you've got a first-time homebuyer campaign. You've got a moving tips campaign, a campaign for people who are just looking, a Why Choose Central 21 campaign, a Why List With Us campaign that sends contacts over a period of time. But for it to work, you've got to actually plug your people in and click on Apply Action Plan or Apply Action Sequence and have it start sending stuff out, and then make sure you're making calls as well. But we want something more than this. The first step is every person you talk to, you've got to put into a contact relationship management software program. Whether that's Zap or Top Producer or Boomtown, you've got to get it into a system that's going to help you to build this relationship and help you to follow up. But in addition to doing that, you have to make sure that you're providing value to that customer. You have to provide content that they really want to read, and you have to provide social proof in your follow-up, and I'll explain that. So how do we add value inside each email or follow-up piece? The email follow-up process is every bit as important as your initial message. See, a lot of our agents will go through a lot of work to build a Facebook campaign or a Google campaign where they've got a great ad that says, learn how to buy a house in this town with zero down payment, or learn how to buy a house if you're a veteran with no money out of pocket. You build that campaign, you track those leads, you spend a lot of money to push it in front of the likely candidates that are coming from your zip codes that you're dealing in, and you generate those leads. In order to build a relationship with them, your follow-up has to have as much content, as much meat in it as your initial ad does. So make sure that your follow-up process is very important and done right. Then you're going to test headlines in your follow-up campaigns, because psychology goes into opening emails as much as it does in attracting the client with advertising. You know, interesting headlines in your email make them more likely to open up. And text messages, again, are more likely to be read than emails are. So test what you're doing in follow-up campaigns and see what's working and what's not working. And then we're going to talk about providing social proof in a minute. But remember that buyers are starting their educational process online. They're collecting information. So we need to build trust between the prospect and you. So every contact that you send out, whether it's an email or whatever you're sending them, needs to be interesting or entertaining. They have to want to read it. It has to offer evident benefits or resources or some sort of information that is interesting to that buyer. And by the way, it should be mobile ready so that they can actually read it on their phone or their iPad or whatever they're using. And then at the end of every email, every contact, you need a call to action for more information. You need to keep bringing them back. You want them to work with you, and you need to keep bringing them back. And by the way, that value that you're offering them might include free reports, the home buyer's guide, the 10 mistakes that you make when buying a house, the 10 mistakes people make when trying to finance their first home, how to buy a house with no money down. Or you can have articles, or you can have video education. Now, what not to do, and I'm picking on this one particularly, and I probably shouldn't be because it's actually in the Zap program. So is anybody in the room here from Zap? All right, good. So hi, this is one of their standard emails that's in their relationship management programs, their campaigns. And this is why I want you to go in and rewrite them and add to them and give them more meat. And by the way, Zap is working very hard to provide better and better and better content. They provided some basic stuff in the beginning. They're adding to it, but we want to try and leverage that and take it to another level. So, hi, Brittany. Between the technology at Central 21 and my knowledge and experience, you have many great resources for finding a home of your dreams, and I'd love to help you find that home. I can tailor my service to your unique needs if you let me know a few more details, like your neighborhood preferences, features you'd like to have in a home, like walkability in the community and what your price range is. But above all, I'd like to meet with you and discuss your wants and needs in person. I look forward to hearing from you soon. It's an okay email, but it doesn't fit the category of being interesting or exciting. It doesn't provide great content or information. It's just another plea to please come back and work with me. So we want to take it a step further than that. And by the way, if you're not doing anything, this is fantastic. It's another contact. It's going to lead you to higher results because you're reaching out and having a follow-up system and others aren't. But I want to make it better. I want to try and make sure that you're absolutely providing value in every contact that you do. So what are we going to do? We're going to be interesting. We're going to tell the prospect something they didn't know before. You're going to be surprised how things that seem obvious to you because of your specialized knowledge could be valuable inside information for your prospects. And we're going to offer real tangible benefits. Make sure that your emails offer value to those prospects and even to your former customers. Whether it's offering them resources or how-tos, your reader should walk away with something new every time they get some contact, some communication from you. And you can use these emails or these contacts to provide education. You can create a series of emails for buyers, a series of emails for sellers, a series of emails for investors, some for commercial, some for residential, some for land. Create a series of custom emails that fit the category of the person that's looking. I'm a first-time home buyer. So for a first-time home buyer, you might include an email on searching for a home on the go, selecting the right home, special financing options. Are you pre-approved yet? Apply these tips to finding a great deal, how to make an offer, and understanding home inspections. Now, if you've got a buyer who is buying up, who's going to be selling a house and buying another one, you may want to increase this, change what you're putting in here, and include some language about selling their house and figuring out what it's worth, about trading up, about the benefits of trading up. And the next step is to provide social proof. Everybody wants to work with the best. Everybody follows the crowds. People go to the most crowded restaurant. People go to the most crowded amusement park. They all want to go to the same place. They're all talking about it. And social proof eases the mind of customers so they're more likely to work with you. Referrals are very powerful, of course, because someone is saying to someone else, this is the person you have to use. Don't get stuck with some realtor over at Doggy Breath Realty. Go see Loren because he's really going to take care of you. That's a powerful testimonial. That's social proof. Aside from that, we have to be able to generate some of that and show it to our clients. So we want reviews on Zillow. We want reviews with client testimonials that we can pull off central21.com. And we want to include some of those client testimonials in some of the emails we send out, in some of the literature we send out. We want to include success stories. And those success stories are going to help us to show them what we've been able to do in the past. This is how we helped a buyer get into a house with only $1,800 out of pocket. Here's how we were able to sell a house that had only one bedroom that was very unique. This is how we were able to sell a multi-million-dollar mansion. It shows them proof of what we've done. And certifications help as well. If you have any of those, you can build those into your advertising plan. Why is it important to be a CRS? Why is it important to be a GRI or something else, a CDPE? And then everything you send out should have a call to action. Anything from downloading an ebook to registering for a contest or viewing the rest of the article on your site. And when I say the rest of an article on your site, you want to keep bringing them back to your site. And one of the ways to do that is in an email to give them, let's say, 2 of the 10 deadly mistakes that buyers make when buying a property. And if they click at the bottom of the link, it'll take them back to your site to show them the other 8. For the rest of them, just click here. But try and bring them back to your website. Click for this free report. Click for a free no-obligation market analysis or a no-obligation pre-approval. All these things are ways to bring people back to your site over and over and over again. And we call these drip campaigns. And some of the things that you can put into drip campaigns for buyer leads, obviously you want to keep sending them properties for sale. That's one way to keep in touch with them. And Zap allows you to set up a search parameters for a client and send those out to that client. If you don't have that, or you don't know how to use that, or you feel that you need to use the multiple listing system, you can send out automated searches from your multi-list. But get stuff in front of them. Have properties going to them. That's important to them. You want to intersperse home buying tips, educational information on the home buying process, parceled out over several months in article form and video form, like I said, where the client's going to get to know you, or even as an ebook. Evidence of success updates, which we talked about, stories of successful transactions that might be relevant to the potential buyer or seller. You might send out market snapshots or updates on the housing market, including average price, days on market, list to sale ratios, and other things that are important to them. And then drip campaigns for relocating buyers might include community information and links. We'll talk a lot about community information and how to leverage that in our video program tomorrow. If you're trying to drip on home seller campaigns, you can do something very simple. You can send out market snapshots, information and statistics on the current marketplace, what's sold recently, what are the list to sales price ratios and days on market. Educational information on the home selling process, and again, you can use videos, you can use ebooks, you can use home staging technique information to send out, articles, whatever you can come up with, and evidence of success of stories of successful transactions that might be relevant to the potential seller. And drip campaigns for your social network. Now, why do I talk about your social network? We all know that 64% of our clients right now today are coming as a result of someone who already likes and trusts us. People who are part of our sphere of influence, our social network, people who are past clients, and those people that they refer to us are all coming to us as a result of that connection, that link, and that's 64% of our business nationally. So we want to find a way to keep in touch with them, and we want to mix emails that we send to them on a regular basis, maybe newsletters, some humor, and a lot of social media contact. You can put in social media updates about the market and your personal real estate business. You can do evidence of success, telling stories of recent sales or listings, resources for homeowners, including tips on home maintenance and decorating. And I keep bringing back humor because there's a lot we can do with humor. And when we do our prospecting workshop tomorrow, we're going to talk about some of the things that we can actually use directly to connect with our social network and try and build that relationship. But that's a drip campaign. Now, I do want to also talk about the next level of follow-up because things are changing rapidly. We know now that people used to just come to us because they were referred to us. 90% of them, before they call us, even though they've been recommended by their Uncle Charlie or their best friend from high school to call us, 90% of them, 9 out of 10, are looking us up online to see what they can find out before they ever pick up the phone and call us. And because of that, we've got to make sure that we have everything out there that we can to make us look the best that we can. And the next level of follow-up is something we call retargeting or remarketing, where Facebook and Google are actually finding business for you and bringing it back and maintaining communication with it. Let me give you an example on the restaurant industry. We've got a client of ours who actually goes sells software to restaurants that if somebody walks into the restaurant carrying a cell phone and they've got Facebook on their cell phone, not necessarily that they're using it right now, it connects to the Wi-Fi in the restaurant. The Wi-Fi identifies the Facebook profile. Facebook sells them the information basically because they're paying to be part of the Facebook network, finds that information and creates something called a pixel. And the pixel now starts tracking that customer and what they're doing and starts pushing ads to them as long as we're paying Facebook for that privilege. Now, when the customer leaves the restaurant, the Wi-Fi determines that the cell phone is leaving the building and pushes a survey to that client who's leaving the restaurant and asks how their service was, good, bad, or indifferent. And if the person says the service was great, that form might push that information over to Yelp or some other online service. If it's bad, then it sends an email instead to the owner of the restaurant. And then it starts maintaining contact with that customer. We may not know exactly who that person is. We might know who that person is, but they can send coupons. They can do a follow-up campaign automatically. That is called remarketing or retargeting. It tags where the lead comes from, if it comes from social media or email or Zillow or your website, and we'll talk about that briefly. It tags people through Facebook Pixels or Google AdWords, tries to find out what they like, tries to figure out whether or not you're a good match for what they're looking for, and starts pushing content to them and follows the clients around the internet like cookies used to be. If anybody here bought a plane ticket to get to Las Vegas, you probably saw travel sites pop up on your screen for the next 3 weeks. Travel sites, airline sites, anything that's similar to that. If you bought a hammer drill lately, you're going to see hammer drill ads. If you bought a Weber grill recently, you're going to see ads for grills all over the place. It's because the giants, the Googles and the Facebooks of the world, are taking the information of how people are shopping, how they're searching, and they're selling that information to those people who want to put something in front of them. So if somebody's searching for houses online, Facebook and Google can actually push ads directly to them based on what they're doing. And we can create ads through services like AdWorks or Facebook or others to keep in touch with these potential clients. This is another type of content management because we're taking all these potential leads, we're creating a bucket of everybody who has either been to our site, a bucket of everybody who's been searching a certain way online, and we start building that database out, actually through Facebook or through one of these other CRMs, and start pushing ads directly to those clients and keeping ourselves in front of them. And in fact, you can even upload a list of your past clients and everybody you hope to work with to Facebook, and it'll target just those people. It'll target only the people who are looking to sell or buy. So let me give you a quick example of how this works. We have to create, how do we create leads on Facebook or Instagram or Google? We have to create some call to action, some reason they want to contact us or see something online. So we create what's called a stealth business page. Then we create a targeted ad in Facebook or Google that we're going to show to our target audience because we want people to click on it. We create a call to action, and that leads them back to the landing page. And that landing page is going to acknowledge in Facebook that this is a person we need to start tracking, and then that system kicks in to follow up with them. And a stealth business page, by the way, might be a landing page on your website, or maybe a single page website, or it might be a page in your Facebook where it has just information on one subject, like home values or finding foreclosures fast or VA benefits or the foreclosure hot list or buying with no down payment, whatever. But a landing page that you can create an ad to lead back to. And that ad may look something like this: free first-time home buyer guide, everything you need to know to buy in today's market. Click for your free copy. So it'll lead them to that landing page, creates a call to action, and that generates us a possible lead. And again, we'll be talking about this tomorrow in another workshop and how to use that. Some of the other lead magnets we can create to try and funnel people into our contact management software are to have contests, even simple contests like giving away a $10 Starbucks card. People actually sign up for. And if they're already on our pages looking at something and they sign up for it, they're acknowledging that they've been looking for something. Video content tends to lead more people to us, free reports and other types of lead forms. And I did say earlier, since we've got a little bit of time, I'll go through this quickly, that there are 3 types of follow-up campaigns you create. One is a lead conversion campaign, and that's where we really stressed most of our time here today. How to try and convert that lead to somebody who's going to work with us, somebody who's going to close. But we also use follow-up campaigns with the customers that we're working with right now and the customers that we close with. How do we do that? Well, what happens after you secure a listing? You don't actually talk to the seller as much as you probably should in many cases, and because of that, those sellers think that you're not out there working. So we want to make the invisible visible. We want to show them what we're doing every step of the way and try and wow them with our service along the way. And we can do this with a follow-up system. So part of that might be an email campaign. Now, we should also be calling them to give them updates. We should also be giving them market updates at least once a month. We should be putting them onto our Golden Ruler program and sending them reports on how many hits they've had online and what major sites they're on. But let's look at other email update campaigns that we can add them to. This is a campaign that sends out 17 emails in the first 120 days. This is one that we use with our students. For example, when you first list a property, you ought to send them a thank you note. Dear so-and-so, whatever their name is, Thank you so much for entrusting the sale of your property to our team here at Central 21. We'll work hard to get your property sold as quickly as possible, and we'll do our best to provide service that's exceptional in every way. Please let us know if at any time you feel that we're not living up to our end of the bargain or doing less than we should. And always keep in mind that most of our business is referred to us by happy customers. Now let me segue for a second. Why do we say that? We say that because we want to program them to understand that most of our business comes from referrals and we need their help. And if you remind them of that, they're more likely to refer you business. Did you know that? Our first goal is to help you to get your property sold, but ultimately our mission is to do more than sell one property. We're hoping to provide such a great experience while selling your property that you enthusiastically refer us to everybody that you know. So if you are happy with our services and come across other people who are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please refer them to us. Again, thank you so much for choosing our team to market your property. That's just a thank you note. Now in 3 or 4 days, they should get a second one. And this might come from your assistant if you've got an assistant. It might come from your receptionist if you have a receptionist in the office. I'm here to help. The headline is 85% of the message. Hi, my name's Carrie, and I'm writing you a letter to introduce myself and explain what my responsibilities are in helping Loren Keim to sell your property. My official title is Client Services Coordinator, and I'm the person who makes sure you're satisfied in every part of your real estate experience. And as I'm sure Loren's already explained to you, our goal is to become your real estate team for life. We want you to be able to tell every friend, relative, and coworker that we really are different. If they want the best experience possible in buying, selling, or investing, they should call Loren or they should call me. And there's always a postscript at the bottom. There's some other information maybe about what her job functions are. And it says, and I keep in touch with you just like Loren does to let you know what's happening with the sale each step of the way. Remember, if there's ever anything I can do to make your move easier, please don't hesitate to call me. Loren wants each of our clients to receive special treatment, and that's what we intend to give you. Just tell me what you want, and it's as good as done. P.S. We spend most of our time delivering first-class service to our clients and spend very little time chasing new business. We build strong, lasting, lifetime relationships, one person at a time, and because we do, most of our new clients come to us on the advice of people who've learned to trust and respect us. Now, is that a little different than anything you're sending out now? Is that something that might attract attention and help you to brand and build your business? Hopefully it is. And again, if you don't have an assistant, you can send that from the receptionist because that is your client services person. Or maybe you send it from your broker in your office. You might have a third-party endorsement letter that goes out. When you list a property, you work with your mortgage person who provides service to you and wants you to continue to use them to send a letter saying, even if the client doesn't want to purchase another property, as part of your relationship with that lender, the lender is making themselves available to your client to give financial advice. And by the way, the client is lucky to have you as their agent because you're one of the best in the industry. That's a third-party endorsement of your business. And it's another contact from someone. And then the first week, you send out an email that says, Dear John, which hopefully the name is actually John. We've now submitted your listing to over 1,200 websites. We've posted a virtual tour. We've sent an email to 3,000 realtors. We've sent an email to 1,257 investors in our database. We've even built a unique property website on your property. We're working to get it sold. And then you might send another email out 30 days in. Now, when we have showings, they're not always us showing the property, but they're because of us, because of our aggressive marketing. People will call us. We're like the general in the army. We get the property out there. We've built our unique property website. We've submitted it to 1,200 sites. We've paid upgrade fees on Realtor.com and Zillow. And because of that, we are generating activity. Those people who see your ad online, though, may not call me. They may call their Uncle Charlie or the girl they went to school with, the woman they went to school with. And that may be the person who shows them the property, but we are helping to generate activity on your property. And again, is this more than some of our competition is doing right now? It's something else to keep in contact with them. And we also have a pending e-campaign. If you have a house that goes under agreement, you might want to start a new campaign, a new follow-up system. And that might start with a letter that says, congratulations on your sale, now with the real work begins. And then 3 or 4 days later, they might get another email that says, has a headline, the 39 things that can go wrong during a transaction. And it'll list all the terrible things that could possibly happen during the sale of a property. And at the bottom, it'll say, now, aren't you glad you hired my team to assist you through this process? Now, again, what we've talked about today is creating a follow-up campaign that's really lead conversion, taking those leads that come in and finding a way to turn them into business for us, finding a way to maintain contact long enough to build that relationship so that they don't go anywhere else, and so that we significantly increase the percentage of people in our pipeline that become buyers and sellers. We talked a little bit about the fact that we've got to maintain those 5, 6, 7 contacts with that person, because that's where the bulk of the business is done. It's not in that initial phone call, that initial conversation. We've got to build that relationship. And when we're building that relationship, we go from the opportunity of the lead that comes in to converting them to a prospect, building a relationship through what we send them, how we follow up, our persistence, and being there when they're ready, and helping to create the sale. And as I said, the lead process is attracting leads first, and then converting those visitors, that small percentage of people who see our website, that small percentage of people that find our listings online. Find a way to convert them to work with us, or at least raise their hand and identify themselves as possible buyers or sellers, so we can start following up, we can start targeting them to help them through the process so they become customers, and ultimately we deliver great service so that they become advocates of our business. And I'm going to finish up today with a story. I use this a lot, so if you've been to one of my workshops before, I apologize if you've heard it. I heard this from a minister in California. I've seen it in several other venues, so I don't know where it came from, if it was really his story, if it was somebody else's. But he said he was in San Francisco and he was walking down the street one cool fall morning, and he came upon one of those high privacy fences that has the posters on the outside. There was a big gaping hole in the ground. They were digging and building something. So he crawled through a hole in the privacy fence, and he went through and he saw 4 bricklayers or 4 masons, each at different areas around the project, working on building walls. So he went up to the first bricklayer and he said, "What are you doing?" And the bricklayer said, "What's it look like I'm doing? I'm laying bricks." He was obviously from Jersey. This is a guy who has a task. "I'm doing floor time. I'm holding an open house. I got a task." This is the category that most real estate agents fall into, and one of the reasons that 19 out of 20 agents last in the real estate industry 3 years or less. So the minister goes around to the second side and he sees the second mason, the second bricklayer, and he says, "What are you doing?" And the second mason says, "I'm building a wall here." This is somebody who at least has a job. "I'm selling real estate. I'm working with a buyer. I'm listing a house." So he goes to the third mason and the minister asks the same question, "What are you doing?" And the third mason says, "I'm building a church." Well, at least this one has a career. "I'm listing and selling properties. I'm trying to sell 25 properties this year." The problem is that this is the spot where most of us plateau. We work and we work and we work in our business instead of on our business, and we stagnate. We want to get to the next level. We want to get past that. And the minister goes to the final mason and he says, "What are you doing?" And the final mason says, "Can't you see it? We're building a great cathedral. Over there, people are going to be getting married and they're going to be starting their shared lives together. Over here, we're going to be starting a soup kitchen. We're going to be feeding the hungry and the homeless. And over there, over that side, we're going to be building a midnight basketball program and getting kids off the streets, getting kids off drugs." That's somebody who clearly understands the big picture, somebody who has a vision of how things need to be. When we start agents with our mentoring program, we usually have them write a letter to themselves as if it's a year down the road. And they're writing to themselves about how successful the last year has been, what they've done, how they've accomplished it, and what steps they took to get there. Because you need to be able to visualize the steps to take them. If you want to be wildly successful in your real estate practice, you need to see your business, your practice, from the point where you want it to be, not the point where you are right now. You have to envision what you want it to ultimately look like and build toward that vision. And when we're looking at follow-up systems, this looks like a daunting task to a lot of people. Start with one aspect of it. Maybe we'll start with a buyer sequence, action sequence, or maybe we'll just start by putting everybody in a contact management program if you're not doing that. But start with a buyer sequence and lay out what steps you're going to take. What are you going to send them? And then after you lay out the steps, write each one of them. Write each letter. Write each email. If you're going to do an educational video series, do one video at a time and put those people on the video series, no matter how many you have so far. And hopefully you'll get it done in a relatively short period of time, but you have to start by having a plan and laying it out.
Thanks for watching us today. I hope you're enjoying our programs. Until next time, this is Loren Keim with Real Estate's Next Level Training. Make the most of every day, and thanks again.